Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. We're reaching people all over the world. Welcome to the 37th Emerging Growth Conference. I'm Anna Berry, and I'll be your host today. As always, we have an exciting list of companies in a wide range of growth sectors presenting today. Remember that all of our conferences, they're uploaded to our Emerging Growth Conference YouTube channel, so please subscribe there, youtube.com/Emerging Growth Conference. Just a few notes. Today, we're running until about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And when we switch to the next company, you're going to see a black screen for a second, but don't go anywhere. We're just transitioning. If you do experience some downtime more than a minute, refresh your browser and everything should work properly again. Our platform works best on Chrome. So if you're watching from an Apple device, you have to hit the play button to start the session. Now, during each company's presentation, you can submit questions through our webcast module, and we'll try to address as many of those at the end of our presentations. One last note, after today's event, you'll be redirected to the registration page for our next conference in 2 weeks. So stay on or come back early to reserve your spot. Today, we have 9 companies presenting, so let's jump right in. Let's welcome Soligenix, Inc. It trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol SNGX and is a late-stage biopharmaceutical company focused on developing and commercializing products to treat rare diseases where there is an unmet medical need. Today, we are welcoming Senior VP and CFO Jonathan Guarino. Jonathan has over 25 years of diverse experience in the financial and strategic management of emerging growth and commercial companies, including in the life sciences industry, and is the Senior VP CFO for Soligenix since 2019. Welcome, Jonathan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to hearing your presentation, so the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you. So as Anna said, we are a late-stage biopharmaceutical company focusing on rare diseases and unmet medical needs. Before we jump in, our lawyers have to grab the first slide for our forward-looking statements, which basically says that anything within this presentation we're not required to update for future purposes, but I'm sure you've all seen something of this nature before. So we'll get in. Again, late-stage biopharmaceutical company. We have 2 segments, one specialized biotherapeutics, dedicated to developing products in orphan diseases and areas of unmet medical need in oncology and inflammation, and then a public health solutions segment that develops vaccines and therapeutics for military civilian applications in areas of ricin exposure, emergent antibiotic resistance, infectious disease, and viral diseases including Ebola, Marburg, Sudan virus, and COVID-19. One of the highlights of the public health solutions segment is that it is funded entirely by the government. So through grants and contracts, and actually no investor money has been spent in that area, but I'll get into that a little bit more later. We have a robust pipeline consisting of multiple fast-track and orphan disease products. This is an exciting time for the company. We have a late-stage de-risked clinical asset that was a successful phase 3 readout called Hybrid. This is for our cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. And we plan on filing our NDA this year, expecting approval 1 year from here, and then commercializing that. We also have a trial in psoriasis, cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. If you want to think of it, it is the cancer's version of psoriasis. So we had a phase 1 trial that was successful, and now we're starting a phase 2A trial in the 4th quarter of this year. We have oral beclomethasone dipropionate, which is for our pediatric Crohn's disease. Our focus right now is mainly on the hybrid and psoriasis. So with pediatric Crohn's, we're looking for additional funding, i.e. partnership. We have a strong balance sheet with cash runway into 2023. Our cash as of June 30th was $20.2 million, approximately $20.2 million. And our cash burn is approximately, or has been, $2.9 million per quarter for 2022. So we have the cash to get to where we need to be. Collaborations are strong with biotech, academia, government agencies. Like I said, a lot of non-dilutive governmental funding for our programs, and an experienced management team with a record of success. Here's our development pipeline again. You'll see Hybrid there and the mild to moderate psoriasis for SGX 302. I had mentioned pediatric Crohn's with, we have one in oral mucositis and head and neck cancer. We had a phase 3 readout on that, which was not successful. So again, that one is additional funding, i.e. partnership, and we'll move forward with that because that is a novel drug that has a lot of different applications. On our public health solutions side, it is Rivax, which is our main vaccine. And then we have the Ebola virus, Marburg virus, and also a COVID-19 vaccine. We have a differentiator, but I will get that in a little bit. Here's our potential value drivers. Again, we're starting our study in psoriasis in the fourth quarter of this year. We already have clearance from the FDA in order to do the trial. So we'll be looking for patients and initiating that then. Submitting our NDA at the end of this year as well in Hybrid. That's on track. And we have a lot of positives going into it. We already spoke with the FDA. So the only thing that we're really waiting for is stability data on Hybrid, and then we'll be able to move forward with that as well. Here's our global market for hybrid cutaneous T-cell lymphoma is about 250 million globally. We're expecting that our US will be about 90 million. The moderate to mild psoriasis, 1% of the market opens that up for $1 billion. So that could significantly expand what we already have. And then with the Rivax, that's to the government for stockpiling. So that's about 200 million. I'll work through specialized biotherapeutics and try to keep it a little high level as I need to. This is the top of that slide before that shows our programs. Again, the orphan and fast track designation is green. And those are achievable results for that product. This is cutaneous T-cell lymphoma. It's actually a blood disease where T cells migrate to the skin and cause plaques and lesions and patches. It affects about 40,000 patients worldwide, and there's currently no cure. There's two types of subtypes of CTCL, mycosis fungoides and Sézary syndrome. Mycosis fungoides is the early stage, so that's what we're looking to do. That's a top picture. To keep it in the early stages of the disease. Again, there is no cure. Even ours is not a cure for the disease. And then Sézary syndrome is there. That's late stage, and the prognosis for survival is really not that great at that point. There's no approved first-line therapy, so ours will be a first. We treat it with Hybrid, so we take our ointment and put it on the lesions, and then we apply a light therapy, a photodynamic therapy with fluorescent light. Again, we have orphan designation for both the US and EU. There's been a rapid treatment response. We had statistically significant efficacy as early as 6 weeks with improved responses at 12 weeks and 18 weeks. And it's very effective against the deeper patch and plaque lesions. Here's our phase 3 clinical trial. It was a highly powered, double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized study. Primary endpoint is patients achieving a greater than 50% cumulative reduction in the CAL score, which is composite assessment of index lesion severity, which is very common scale for dermatologists. And we had statistical significance in the first phase, and then additional statistical significance in the second phase with a p-value of 0.0001. So I don't believe in statistics. You can get much better than that. It was 3 cycles. We had the first cycle was for 6 weeks, where we did a 2-to-1 drug to placebo. Patients would get treated for 3 of their lesions and then apply the light therapy and come back, and that was statistically significant at that point. And then jumped ahead there. In cycle 2, we applied the ointment and treatment to the 3 lesions for both patient groups. And then we did an optional cycle 3, which is a compassionate use cycle where patients were able to treat all their lesions. And I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with trials, but when you've been doing a trial for 16 weeks, it's a little tiresome. So we were very happy to see that the patients, the majority of them actually stayed on for that last cycle and had all their lesions treated. So from the patient perspective, the drug is working, and also from the dermatologist perspective. So we were very happy with that. And they finished out at 24 weeks, which also gave us additional data for the safety of the drug to make sure that there was no significant side effects. So here's our light device. We've actually have an agreement with Davalin, who makes light devices both for PUVA, for the photodynamic therapy with fluorescent light that we do, and they have experience in distribution through the US and also through Europe. So again, the patient would apply the ointment, the Hybrite, to their lesions 18 to 24 hours before they go to the dermatologist, and then they show up and they stand in front of the light for 5 to 7 minutes for their photodynamic therapy, and then they go home. The treating dermatologists are experienced in using light therapy. They use it for UVB and UVA, and 80% of the community actually have the lights available. There's approximately 50 sites in the US. And in actuality, when we did our study, we were probably in 80% of those for trials, and then the other 20% was KOLs that we had for the study itself. So the trial itself was almost like a marketing study for us as well. So we have a lot of potential for doing the growth, and this is part of the reason that we plan to commercialize the drug ourselves in the US. Again, dermatologists, the KOLs, play a pivotal role. Usually these people, the patients go to the sites, they deal with the KOLs, and then they go back to their own home dermatologist and continue the therapy there. But the KOLs maintain a significant presence for those patients. Here's where Hybrite fits into the dynamic. So in the early stages of the disease, patients would go to their dermatologists, and most likely they would be prescribed topical steroids. Then they would go home and use those, and they would really have no effect. So after that, they would use other drugs such as UVB and UVA in order to treat the lesions, which is a second-line therapy for that. But with UVA and UVB light therapy, they're carcinogenic, cell damaging, and you have the risk of getting melanoma. The other thing is that you can only use so many of those treatments within the care as well. And then other drugs such as methylrethamine is a chemotherapy type drug. So those drugs are systemic, and you can find them in other areas of the body. With Hybrite, it's not systemic. It's extremely safe and effective, and there's no limit on use. You put it on the skin. It does not travel to other areas of the body, so it's safe. So this will be a first approved inline therapy and fits right in the middle after those topical steroids do not work. So we plan to commercialize ourselves in the US. Again, since the study was actually somewhat of a marketing study, adding 20 reps to reach 80% of the high volume subscribers is definitely attainable. And we have in our budget the funds to do our pre-launch activities and move forward towards that commercialization with pre-launch costs and projected annual marketing and sales costs of less than $10 million. Its payers are likely to cover the drug and light treatment as it's shown to be safe and effective. And we're not blazing a new trail here. There's other drug combinations with the light therapy. So based on our research and what we've done so far, it should be covered. So we're meeting an unmet medical need. We've had positive feedback from both patients and derms. It's efficient for commercialization. We'll definitely partner out in Europe once that's done. We're filing the equivalent of an NDA in Europe in the first half of 2023. And then there's significant potential sales of $90+ million and lifecycle management upside and competing second line products with inferior profiles have already achieved similar sales, so we're confident in that area. So it's a very good opportunity at this point. Here's our high-bright lifecycle management. So we're starting with the larger light in the clinical offices. It's very thin, could be behind the door, hung on a door. But then we're currently looking at home use and developing light units that the patient can take home. And then with telemedicine, the doctor can do a telemedical call and then activate the light at the right sensitivity level that's needed and the time that's needed. And this way it eliminates the patient from even having to go to the office once their initial diagnosis. And then we plan to move into other additional disease indications such as the psoriasis, which could really open up the market for us. Move on briefly to our public health solutions. So here again, the public health solutions, we have orphan and fast track designation. All of our public health solutions are funded entirely by the U.S. government to date. Not one penny of shareholder money has been used on it. This has two effects too, because with the public funding, it also covers a fee and some of our salaries for our people who are working on specialized therapeutics as well. So it's good to have the governmental funding in, extends our cash runway and reduces some of our working capital needs. So here is our Rivax ricin toxin vaccine candidate. It has been proven 100% effective in non-human primates. They usually frown upon you. We use the animal model, because they frown on you, you're not allowed to give poison to humans. So they test the vaccine in the non-human primates and then look for indicators that would map to the human genome, and that's how it's proven effective. And then we do give the vaccine to humans in order to make sure that it's safe, but the efficacy is through the non-human primates. One of the differentiators in our specific vaccines is that we have a process to thermostabilize the vaccines, which is called Thermovax. And what this does is it actually takes the vaccine and reduces it to a powder form. We've kept that powder form at approximately 104 degrees for over a year and then reconstituted with sterile water. And there's been no degradation in efficacy or anything else. So this is a real differentiator within our vaccine program. So the positives here are, again, this is something that we would commercialize ourselves. There's only one entity that we're going to sell it to, which is the U.S. government for stockpiling. And a bonus feature of this particular program is the potential for a priority review voucher. So sometimes the government will give out these vouchers, and it reduces the amount of time it would take to push the drug through. And these vouchers are also saleable. So I'm pretty sure the last one sold for approximately $1 million, or $100 million, sorry. So these priority review vouchers are very valuable. And again, another potential bonus to our vaccine program. This is our filovirus candidates, heat stable, single vial bivalent for Sudan and Marburg viruses, which are part of Ebola virus. We've had successful challenges with those. And then what we don't show on here is the COVID-19 vaccine. There's no slide for that, sorry. So with the COVID-19 vaccine, again, the differentiator for a booster would be the thermostabilization process. If you're thinking of developing countries that do not have cold chain storage or have power supply issues, that can be a real differentiator in getting these types of vaccines to them, and especially even the Ebola virus. So with third-party or developing countries, this is definitely a differentiator from other vaccine programs. Experienced management and board of directors. Obviously, on the management side, they save the best for last. But our CEO, Chris Shaber, has been doing this for 30 years and has developed this entire program. And then we have a number of board of directors that have that commercial experience. Specifically Diane Parks, formerly of Kite Pharmacyclics, Amgen Genentech, and then Jerry Zeldis, who is the former CMO of Celgene. I think I dropped back there for a minute. So in summary, we have a robust pipeline, multiple fast track, late stage de-risked items. Hybrite being our main one, which we'll be filing an NDA this year. Psoriasis, which could potentially boost our market by $1 billion. Strong balance sheet, plenty of cash runway. Collaborations with biotech, academia, and government agencies. Non-dilutive funding in order to help our program move forward. An experienced management team with renowned advisors and a record of success. So here just to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to get in and be a part of the company as we move towards our goals in commercialization. So Anna, if you'd like to open it up for those questions.
Sorry, Jonathan, I was just waiting for you to call me back, but great presentation.
No worries.
And great products you have here, so needed. Let's dive into our questions. We have a question from Marcel Joyce. Can you review why Hybrite is so much safer than the currently available CTCL therapies?
Sure. So with the other therapies, either they're systemic, so if you take the therapy, it would work through all of your body and could be cell damaging from that perspective. And then from a light therapy perspective with PUVA and UVB light therapies, they're the equivalent of sunlight. So you're trading one cancer for another, namely melanoma. With our therapy, the Hybrite is a topical cream. It's not systemic. It will not travel to any other places in the body. We've done long-term safety on it. And then with the light therapy itself, it's fluorescent light. So if there's any problems with fluorescent light from a safety perspective, I think we're all going to have some problems.
Okay. Bryce Mason wants to know, why did Hybrite do so well in the deeper plaque lesions?
Actually, I'm going to roll back to the slide for that one. I passed it, sorry. So on the right, there's a little diagram, which I did not mention, but it shows the UV light and blue light and how deep that goes. With the fluorescent light, it's in the yellow and red perspective. So that penetrates much deeper into the skin and into those deeper plaque lesions. So we've gotten a lot better results because of it.
Fantastic. Rick Schaefer wants to know, what is the size of the commercial opportunity for Hybrite?
So commercial opportunity in the U.S. is up to $90 million. We're looking at peak sales there. And then from a global perspective, we're estimating that the market is about $250 million a year.
Fantastic. And Matt Buckley wants to know, are there currently unapproved treatments being used off-label in CTCL, like PUVA and UVB light? And is there the potential for Hybrite to be used off-label in psoriasis?
So yes, those are the current therapies that are being used in the dermatological setting when it comes to CTCL, which is why ours would fit right in there as a first line approved therapy, where those light therapy, our light therapy wouldn't be as is much more safe. So, and you can use it for a much longer time. The therapies that they're using are shortened, so the idea is to make sure that we keep it in that beginning stage of the disease itself. And then regarding off-label use, so I would never promote off-label use, but I would imagine with a successful phase 2A trial in psoriasis, that dermatologists would consider it. I mean, CTCL is effectively the cancerous form of psoriasis, so if it works in one, it most likely will work in the other, but I can't say that they will or won't.
All right. Tara Hester wants to know, what near-term milestones are you able to accomplish with this current cash?
All right, great. So this is one of my better questions as a CFO. We have enough cash to cover the phase 2A trial in mild to moderate psoriasis, and definitely to get to our NDA filing. Our cash runway goes through the end of the second quarter of 2023. So we're in a great place right now. Our backs aren't against the wall in order to do an immediate financing or anything of that nature. And we have the cash runway to get there.
Fantastic. Eli Bridges wants to know, will you need to do another capital raise before commercialization? And when do you think that will be?
So yes, I would imagine we will need to do another raise, although we have a number of products available to us on our balance sheet from a capital raise perspective. We have a $50 million S3 shelf registration and $30 million at the market transaction with B. Riley. So we can actually bring in some money through the ATM in order to stem off and handle some of our working capital needs and extend our cash runway out. But I would imagine that we'll need to do a raise at some point in 2023, which will most likely be after we file our NDA.
Okay. And we have more questions from our attendees. Jonathan, I'm going to keep going because we have a little bit more time.
Sure.
Dennis Leon says, since you're receiving government money, are there any patents that could be at risk? And further, will this prohibit you from eventually selling in foreign countries?
So the governmental funds, I don't believe it has an impact on patents. Actually, with the orphan disease designation, it extends our patents for 10 years. And no, I do not believe the governmental funding would have an impact on selling the vaccines in foreign countries. Those vaccines being the Ebola, Marburg, Sudan virus, and also the COVID-19 vaccine. For the Rivax, our one customer is the U.S. government.
Right. Emily Mendoza wants you to give a timeline to sales. Are we looking to see revenue in 2023?
So we expect to file our NDA in the fourth quarter of this year. We expect approval of that in the fourth quarter of 2023. And I would imagine that our first significant sales would be in the first quarter of 2024 based on our commercialization timeline.
Okay. Raphael Kane wants you to talk about your COVID vaccine. Raphael read that a new booster is going to be available soon, but they are put out by the majors. How do you break into this market?
So with our COVID-19 vaccine, again, the differentiator is our thermovax, our thermostabilization process. So this isn't an mRNA vaccine. It's a protein-based model, which is the one that everybody's been used to since they were kids. So bringing ours down to a powder format and then being able to ship it without any cold chain storage issues or power supply issues is really how we would break into the market. So developing nations that need the additional boosters, and ours is a usable booster with Pfizer and Moderna, any of the other vaccines, would be how we would break in, really.
Okay, thank you for that. Aliana Robles says, Aliana took a look at your recent quarter and noticed that you had some licensing revenue in the past. Is this a market you will pursue further, the licensing?
That's a great question. Actually, we just had a new agreement with SERB Specialty Pharmaceuticals for our ricin toxin antigen. So we develop the ricin toxin antigen. It's basically the blood of, which is a little gross, sheep that have received our vaccine. And then SERB is going to take that antigen and use it in their development program to try to come up with a therapy, not a vaccine, but a therapy. This way, if you did get ricin poisoning, you would be able to take this and not die from it. So, yeah, we started with our licensing agreement at this point. This is a smaller one based on their preclinical or initial trials, and then we would have to come up with a new agreement if they needed GMP type material. But yeah, if we can capitalize on licensing activity, then yeah, we'll do that.
Fascinating products you have here. What a time to be in this industry. I can't imagine. Jonathan, this is a great presentation. I want to give you a few moments for final thoughts, closing remarks.
This is a great opportunity. I've been going out and doing a lot of investor lunches, dinners, and these conferences in order to get the message out to our investors and potential investors. So with late stage products and we're filing an NDA, which is amazing at the end of this year. This is a great opportunity to get in. And for those who actually have shares, we just filed our proxy statement. So I would say, get out there and vote and make sure your shares count towards that as well. But this has been fantastic. I hope everybody's gotten the information they need. And by all means, if there's questions that you come up with afterwards, please feel free to email us or call, and we'll have that discussion.
Wonderful. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. And please come back again with some of your updates.
Excellent. Thanks, Anna. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, stay with us. We're going to come back in about, I believe, 15 minutes. And remember, if you are prompted to enter your email again, please just follow those prompts and we'll be back with Starfleet in a Tech. We'll see you soon.